This is the dumbest WrestleMania season of all time, okay? At least as far as what I've seen in my lifetime, okay? You get what I'm saying? This is embarrassing. This Mania season is obviously garbage. It's trash. And this is one of, if not the worst built to Mania of all time. But this isn't about that. This is about the simple merits of the facts that this Mania season makes no sense. This Mania as a whole makes no sense, and nothing is working, okay? And the truth is that we are 19 days away from WrestleMania, and we have, 7 confirmed matches? Are you kidding me? Last year, 2 weeks away from Mania, everything was already set. We were already in the process of getting multiple great segments and promos and, matches week after week. But now, this proves to me 2 weeks away from Mania, we have 7 confirmed matches for a 2-night PLE. It's safe to say that Triple H clearly has zero idea what to do, and quite frankly, the creative, the fans, and even the wrestlers probably at this point have no idea what this Mania season is. There's no identity, there's no hype, there's no excitement, there's no reason to actually tune into this glorified crown jewel that is WrestleMania 41. That's all it is. I've been saying this for weeks. This is just the facts at this point. Triple H has wasted months and months and months of this Mania build, and last night's Raw proved it. We saw John Cena and Cody finally go toe-to-toe on the mic in what was a very good segment that I very much enjoyed. Now, Cody Rhodes was obviously going for low-hanging fruit, talking about stuff that was, just random, talking about John Cena's junk in shorts, and then he was talking about, Vince McMahon and things of that nature, and then John Cena just straight up grilled him and killed him on the mic. John Cena buried Cody Rhodes on the mic, and even though he got stood tall over by Cody last night, Cena will likely win this belt because he has to win this belt. None of the new, young, engaging talent, quote-unquote, is doing anything. So John Cena, who's in his mid-40s in his final year of ever being in the WWE, has to carry this Mania season, and even with that, the Mania season still sucks. We're seeing things get forced out of nowhere, okay? Rhea Ripley's going to get forced into the triple threat. Jey and Gunter finally have a good segment, but it comes 2 weeks away from Mania, and it reminds you that the previous 2 months of this feud, when Gunter said 8 months is this, and next 8 weeks is going to be a living hell for you, Jey, and we've gotten nothing of significance or good meaning at all for this feud to build it, except for what we got yesterday in the Jimmy, Jey, and Gunter segment. You get what I mean? We're forcing things out like New Day, finally, after their amazing heel turn a couple months, or like 3 or 4 months ago, now all of a sudden they're going for gold. They should have already been doing that months ago. You get me? Roman Reigns is forced into a triple threat match, forced into a feud that he has nothing to do with, and now that's going to main event night 1 of WrestleMania. Cena and Cody finally getting a face-to-face and cutting at each other deep on the mic. They should have done this weeks ago, so that the last way, the previous week, last week, and this week could have been used for brawls or other creative segments or even more cutting deep on the mic. But instead, we get the segment we got yesterday, and we won't see John Cena again until WrestleMania, because last night was the last scheduled show he has until WrestleMania 41. You get what I mean? It's all forced. Nothing makes any sense. And we're going to break this down piece by piece and match by match and feud by feud. And it goes without mentioning, obviously, the Royal Rumble and the Elimination Chamber have been rendered null and void during this Mania season. Because no matter what happens, whoever wins the Rumble or the Chamber, bad booking can dictate how the crowd is treating the feud and how they feel about the quality of the feud. And bad booking can also force random matches and main events. So who cares who wins the Chamber or the Rumble? Bianca wins the Chamber, doesn't matter. Rhea, who lost the belt, gets to get forced back into a world title match regardless. You get like, it doesn't matter. You understand? Oh, Jey Uso won the Royal Rumble. Yeah, yeet, yeet, I'ma get you, Uso. And then he chooses Gunter for the belt, and the feud dies in weeks. And it's been dead for months now. And last night it was revived for a 1 or 2 week span until the Mania match. Like, it's over at this point. There's nothing to care about. Who cares who wins the Royal Rumble or the Chamber? Charlotte Flair won the Rumble, and her feud with Tiffany sucks. You get me? Like, who cares? John Cena won the Chamber. That's the only meaningful, Chamber win or / Rumble win of the year. And even then, it just now became meaningful and good. The payoff of it and his heel turn just became meaningful like last night, and now it's already too late because we ain't seen him again until Mania. So there you have it. Now, first off, we have to talk about the reasoning behind every single match so far, making absolutely no sense or being built poorly. We have to understand these things. The Roman Reigns, Rollins, and CM Punk triple threat is nonsensical, and it absolutely is horrible. The precedent that has been set by this match main eventing night 1 is just embarrassing. This shows me that no matter what the talent does, no matter who's in a good position, who's been putting in great work on the mic, great work in the ring, whoever it is, you can be relegated to being a mid-card or undercard jobber or not even being on WrestleMania in favor of big names just forcing their way into the main event because there's no story to dictate it at all. Guys like Drew McIntyre are relegated to doing meaningless feuds with Damian Priest. And speaking of Drew McIntyre's feud with Damian Priest, I have to say, I was thinking about this feud and I actually have an an idea of how they can make this great. So I'm thinking on SmackDown, I can't stop thinking about Punk, you know what I mean? Randy Orton's doing a meaningless feud with Kevin Owens. Sami Zayn, not to say that he's like, all-time great or any of that stuff, but he's not even on the card. Carmelo Hayes putting in good work, good matches, consistency, all that stuff for the last year since he got called up to the main roster. He ain't even on the card. But Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Punk, who have won nothing of meaning since over the last year, and they're getting a Mania Night 1 main event because they have big names. That's it. That's the only reason. There's no story to back this up. There's no hard-hitting promos between the three of them. There might be soon, but by the time of this match being announced as a main event, there's no hard-hitting, cutting promos at all. Like what we got from Cody and Cena last night, there's none of that for this feud so far at all, And Roman Reigns was just shaking hands with Punk in Survivor Series, and then they go to the Royal Rumble. Roman gets eliminated from a Royal Rumble where the goal is to just eliminate people and get yourself in the main event of WrestleMania, and because of that, Roman hates Punk now? They're forcing beef and forcing feuds. This is a Punk and a Rollins feud, but WWE knows that without Roman Reigns involved, this isn't main eventing. Rollins and Punk is a Raw main event at best. It's a mid-card match on a PLE at best. You understand? But they had to add Roman in so that this match can have some sort of gravitas and some, some intrigue. So they had the Heyman favor and all this other stuff so it can finally main event. You think Roman Reigns knows why he's in this feud? There's no reason for him to be in this feud other than the fact to actually make it so that it can actually appear on a WrestleMania card in a main event match. That's it. And you have three faces going at it, going against each other. So there's no real interest in this. Seth Rollins is a third fiddle just crying and complaining every week. Roman Reigns is probably not even going to show up for the foreseeable future until Mania 41. He may give you one more segment, one promo, and then that'll be the last we see of him until Mania 41. CM Punk in this favor nonsense is just drama. We're supposed to feel great for Punk after getting this Mania Night 1 main event. It's not a true main event. CM Punk's talking about main eventing Manias and winning world titles. Yeah, well, guess what he gets instead? He gets a Night 1 main event in a meaningless triple threat match with poor build-up for nothing on the line. And this is supposed to be some cataclysmic moment. CM Punk's finally main eventing. No, he's not. It's a Night 1 main event. We've gone through this before. And something that doesn't make sense with any of this stuff with Roman, Punk, and Rollins is the simple fact that Roman was champion for 4 years, okay? 4 years. And you mean to tell me that he doesn't have an ability to just automatically get a rematch versus Cody for the WWE Championship at Mania 41? How? How can he not just show up and just demand a rematch? This dude was champ for 4 years. Where's the rematch clause? He had it for 4 years. Like, what? If anything, the favor that Paul Heyman has or whatever should be something that should be given to Roman Reigns. The favor should be, hey, Roman, you're joining the Night 2 main event with Cena and Cody for the WWE Championship. And now you have a triple threat between Roman, Cena, and Cody. That could have been more interesting than what we've been getting from Cody and Cena strictly over the last 3 or 4 weeks, because that hasn't been cooking at all until last night in the segment. So, yeah, that's just something I realized. It's like, what the heck? Roman's champ for 4 years and doesn't even get a rematch? What? Then we have Cody and Cena. This feud makes somewhat sense, obviously, because Cena won the chamber, you know what I'm saying? And he's obviously going to choose to fight for the WWE title and get his 17th. But the build for it sucks. One good segment last night changes nothing, in my personal opinion, because like I've said, you're not going to see Cena again until Mania. So last night was all you got. You got one good segment, followed by 2 mediocre/bad segments, and followed by 3 weeks of probably monotony and repetitive garbage. And also, where is The Rock? What is his significance? What is the role that he and Travis Scott play in this? Why does Cena sell his soul? Has Cena even going to acknowledge The Rock and what he did with The Rock at Elimination Chamber to Cody? It's just, how can you have a segment at Elimination Chamber where John Cena beats the crap out of Cody, embarrasses him, bloodies him? Travis Scott busts this dude eardrum. Fina, I'm the gamer. I book bad manias. I'm the gamer. I inducted myself into the Hall of Fame. Like, come on, man. This is embarrassing. You go from getting embarrassed and beat down at Elimination Chamber, and then the following 2 weeks later, John Cena shows up on Raw, and all he has to do is complain to the fans? Him and Cody are just talking at each other from a distance about the fans? That's all you got? You got beat up that bad, and it took you 3 to 4 weeks to finally say something cutting deep to Cena and actually finally fight back against him in the ring? This makes no sense. You started off with all that intensity and these big beatdowns in the chamber just to follow it up with 3 weeks of nothing burger promos talking to the crowd and then one good promo where they actually fight each other. Really? This is the best you can do? It's embarrassing, okay? You could have been building this for weeks and weeks and weeks consistently and good, but instead, you're not going to because this Mania season makes 0 sense, and there you have it. Then we have Jey and Gunter. For 2 months, this match has been announced, and we've had one good segment. We've had one good segment in 2 months. The Royal Rumble winner is now it's not main event Jey Uso, it's open the event Jey Uso. It's open the event. Jey Uso. Jey Uso's going to come out. They're going to start the show on night one. He'll probably beat Gunter. And instead of drama and intensity and pure hype and excitement, you know what I'm saying? More segments like we had with Jey, Jimmy, and Gunter last night where you have blood involved. You have Jey having to sit there and go through the emotion and the pain of everything, yelling at Gunter while Gunter's embarrassing Jey, you know, making Gunter really feel like a threat for the first time in a while. Instead of that, we get to sit here with 2 months of repetitive brawl segments and nothing garbage and no real promo segments to speak of. That's what we got for Jey and Gunter. Your Royal Rumble winner, the big man, Jey Uso, you know, who won the Royal Rumble over Cena, over Punk, over Roman, over Rollins, even over LA Knight. And this is what you got. And speaking of LA Knight is doing nothing in this Mania season of meaning, at least as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares if he fights Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman in a triple threat for the U.S. title? Nobody cares. Like, let's be real here. LA Knight should have never lost the U.S. belt to Nakamura in the first place. You wasted 3 months, and now you want to give him the belt back just to potentially lose it to Fatu at Mania? LA Knight deserves better, and we've been known this. But for some reason, Triple H won't give him the benefit of the doubt. And then we move on to the next thing that's going to happen at Mania 41. We're on a roll today. You understand? We're not stopping. You think because the shit, like The Rock says last year after beating Cody up after Raw, you think because the show's over, the stuff stops? No. Enjoy the ride that C-Jax is taking you on. Now, we get to the Rhea Ripley triple threat feud with Io Sky and Bianca Belair. This is obviously repeat trash. Last night was the first ever bad Io Sky match I've ever seen, and the reason why is because there was repetitive ref bump spots, there was multiple botches that were just insufferable, and Rhea Ripley continues to get booked like Rhea Hogan. You know what I'm saying? As the internet's calling her, that's just what it is. She always has to stand tall. She always has to beat up everybody. We saw it with the contract signings, the backstage brawls, and now last night, she always has to be, you know, this is the quote-unquote mommy's on top nonsense. It's ridiculous. Bianca and Io last year put on all the good matches in the women's division. They did all the meaningful stuff. Bianca and Jade had a good tag championship reign. You know, Io Sky fighting in the mid-card, doing great work after she lost the belt to Bayley at Mania 40. And for some odd reason, Bianca and Io on their Raw match, I think it was in November or October of last year, was probably the best women's match of the year. And if it wasn't that, it was Io and what's her name, and Bayley at Mania 40. And if it wasn't that, it was Bianca and Jade versus the Damage Control, or what's it called? I think it was Asuka and Kairi Sane at Backlash last year. All of the biggest moments, the best matches in the women's division last year, all took place centered around Bianca or Io Sky. And you reward Io by giving her a world championship, but it's a transitional championship reign that's being wasted as Bianca and Io basically play third fiddle. They play Robin to Rhea's Batman. You know, at one point she looked like Batman when she had that mask on, you know? But yeah, it's just like, what are we doing? Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, yeah, they had a good feud last year, at least for a month and a half it was a good feud, and then it died out and it fell into obscurity. And Rhea Ripley, who's had maybe 5 or 6 Raw matches in the last 400 days, it's just, she's done nothing. She's done nothing for 2 years. Nothing on the mic, nothing meaningful in the ring, no meaningful feuds that she's elevated, no great storytelling, none of that stuff. None of it. But she's praised by these goons and these jobbers backstage who are in creative, who are booking her like she's a legend. That doesn't make any sense. But like I said, the fans accept anything. So you don't have to prove yourself on the mic. You don't have to prove yourself in the ring. You don't have to be consistent. You don't have to tell great stories. You don't have to do any of that. All you got to do is post some random picture on Twitter and all the goons will go eat it up. And you go out and mommy, grow up, grow up, grow up, grow up. You know, we are bots. We are bots. Cody Rhodes. You know, like, this is just what it is. You understand? And so overall, the women's world championship picture is just a disaster. It's a nonsensical disaster. And the fact that Bianca won the chamber after all her hard work, and she's now forced into this garbage feud, and Io Sky's forced into this garbage feud, and she's looking like the third fiddle when she's the one with the world title. It is just, from top to bottom, this women's world championship feud is one of the worst women's feuds I've ever seen in my life. Ever. It's atrocious. And this is with Mania season on the line, you know? So this just makes it double the amount of embarrassment. So then you have Charlotte and Tiffany. This is just a disaster. Tiffany Stratton has zero idea what she's doing on the mic, zero idea what she's doing in segments. She's botching multiple different moonsaults and flips and stuff that could honestly get herself hurt. You understand? She needs to be careful. She needs to learn how to do these moves. If you don't know how to do the move, don't do it. You get, like, what are we doing here? And then she cuts has the interview with Charlotte, and she's just saying lines off of a script. It's very obvious. It's like, really? That's the best you can do. The women's WWE champion has an awful interview segment and gets destroyed by Charlotte in that interview promo. And then all of a sudden you follow that up and Tiffany gets a chance to cut her promo and clear the air, and she still cuts a bad and boring promo saying nothing on SmackDown. Because the talent sees the mistakes, they see the flaws, and they do nothing to improve them. And that's why Tiffany Stratton botches moves week after week, and that's why her promo skills just look atrocious week after week. It's embarrassing. It's part of it is on the creative's fault, obviously, with Triple H, but part of it is on Tiffany. You need to do better. You're the women's WWE champion. You're supposed to be the head of the entire wrestling industry in the women's division, and you're not. Toni Storm is much better than Tiffany Stratton. Heck, Rhea Ripley, who even as overrated as she is, she's better than Tiffany Stratton. Charlotte's better than Tiffany. Becky Lynch is better than Tiffany. Nia Jax is at least close or better than Tiffany Stratton. Liv Morgan is better. Bianca is better. Io is better. But Tiffany is the one with the main title. It makes no, like, this Mania, wow. As I'm saying these things, I just have to sit back and just be like, wow. Look at this Mania. See, nothing makes sense. And some fans are eating this up. I imagine having to tell yourself, you have to stand there, right? You wake up on April 20th or 19th, whenever Mania is, okay? And you have to look in your mirror and be like, wow, I spent $12,000 to go to WrestleMania Night 1 to watch open the event Jey Uso versus Gunter for the world title. You gotta sit back and you gotta watch Rhea Ripley in a forced triple threat for nothing. For nothing. There's no reason she's forced in here at all. You gotta watch Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton, and people are spending tens of thousands of dollars to do so. This is embarrassing. This is my brutality. No, this is embarrassing. That's what it is. Then we get to the Intercontinental Championship picture, okay, with Braun Breaker. Nothing has been confirmed or set in stone or announced for this at all by the time of the making of this video, obviously, okay? But the Intercontinental Championship picture is a mess. The Judgment Day sucks. They've been on repeat of who's going to leave, who's not going to leave, who's going to break up, who's going to be added. It's the same narrative that has caused this storyline to vastly die out since the summer. Ever since Rhea and Damian left the Judgment Day storyline has died. It doesn't matter that Liv Morgan is a part of it. Now nothing's being added, and Liv Morgan might not even be on WrestleMania. After the year Liv Morgan had last year, she ain't even going to make it on Mania? What is the sense? Nothing adds up. Nothing adds up. This Mania season is literally Triple H writing down 6 + 6, and he gives the answer 15. That's all. That's what this Mania season is. The Judgment Day sucks, and anything caught in its wave gets worse by proximation. You understand, or by proximity. Sorry. Anything that's associated with the Judgment Day is guilty by association. It just starts to be garbage at that point. Penta sucks now. Not to say he was great to begin with, but he has nothing to go for. He has no character. He has no promos. We don't even know what he's even fighting for at this point. And the guy who he wants to take the belt from, he's teaming with in a tag match. And Braun Breaker's the same thing. The dude he was fighting Penta, a couple weeks ago, and the week before that they had their stare down, and now he's teaming with him and hyping him up in a tag match. What is this? Damian Priest got caught in the Judgment Day vortex. You saw how that turned out. All rise for the outlaw, all rise for the jobber. That's what it is. So I just don't understand what's happening with this. Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio are probably going to get forced into a fatal four-way with Penta and Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship, and then they're going to try and make it like a big moment if Dom turns heel on Finn, does a double turn on Finn, at Mania. It's like nobody cares. The Judgment Day storyline's been dead for a year now. Nobody cares about this stuff anymore. If Finn leaves, no one cares. If Finn stays, nobody cares. If Dom leaves, nobody cares. It's probably best for Dom and Liv to just leave the group. Leave it. Carlito's sitting there looking like a jobber and a loser in this situation. So I just don't understand any of this. The Intercontinental Championship picture, the stories are bad. Braun Breaker gets featured on the show maybe once every 5 to 6 weeks, and in the last 2 weeks, he's finally showed up consistently to wrestle meaningless matches. So Braun Breaker, with all the talent he has and the athleticism, is relegated to basically has done nothing for the last 6 months. Nothing. So whatever. There you have it. Then you have the next thing. Logan Paul versus AJ Styles officially is going to be a Mania 41 match. This is obviously done to give us a 10 to 15 minute banger match at WrestleMania 41, and that's all it's being built to do. And last night's segment for it was actually kind of entertaining in my opinion. I thought AJ dropped a couple decent lines talking about what the fans expect from real wrestlers, and then Logan Paul was talking about how the fans, just are broke and poor and they suck and all that. So I actually enjoyed that, and this is not meant to be anything big, okay? This is the definition of a good mid-card built match and a good, mid-card result probably. I think this is going to be a fun one. It should be entertaining. AJ and Logan are both really good in the ring, so this should be a fun match to put at WrestleMania. But again, AJ Styles was just staring at Braun Breaker a month or two ago with the cowboy hat on backstage, talking about that. It made it seem like it was going to be AJ versus Braun for the IC title, and then we just completely moved on from that because Triple H has no idea what he's doing. So we're just going to keep throwing stuff up on the fly. And then the last announced match as of now is Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. No one cares about this match. And again, all we've had to build this in the last couple weeks is one promo, which was actually solid from both of them like a couple weeks ago on SmackDown. And then since then, we've had a couple brawl segments where KO just runs away, or Orton gets beat up and KO runs away, or they just run away from each other. They run away, brawl, bot. This feud sucks. Like, what is this? This is just, what even happens in this match? There's no stipulation on this as well. Why is there no stipulation on any of these matches? No holds barred, no DQ, no extreme rules, no elimination matches, no ladder match. Like, what is this? What is this? And then you look at the other stuff that's probably going to get added in, like Drew and Damian, like that. The build for that has been okay. It's a meaningless match that I don't care about, but the build for it has been okay, I suppose. And then the women's tag matches and the tag matches in general for both divisions suck. The feuds suck. I'm saying that the Street Profits are up and they want the smoke, but their theme song stinks, and they have no concurrent feuds that are actually interesting or entertaining right now, in my personal opinion. And then obviously the mid card in both divisions is non-existent. Nobody cares about Lyra Valkyria's IC title reign. No one cares about Chelsea Green's, U.S. championship reign. And, Chelsea Green, for as long as she's been U.S. champ now for about 4 months, I think she's defended her championship against the same person in every single one of those defenses she's had. She's had like 5 matches with Michin. But the mid-card division, the roster's so stacked, but we're getting the same matches. So Lyra Valkyria now is going to fight with Bayley. It's the second time she's fought Bayley in the last 4 or 5 weeks. And you know what I'm saying? It's just the same stuff. So nobody cares about the women's mid-card. You might as well get rid of both belts and throw them in the washer. That's it. Just throw them in the dryer, man. They just walk away. That's all you got to do with that. And then obviously, at the end of the day, that rounds up the WrestleMania because, there's nothing else. They only have 7 matches announced. So what am I supposed to say about it? You get me? The bottom line is this Mania season from top to bottom, it sucks. It makes no sense. And at the end of the day, it's filled with jobber booking from Triple H, and he's doing a horrendous job at building this Mania. You look at what we had last year. Everything connected. Everything made sense. There was maybe 1 or 2 things you could have tweaked. Like I think Chad Gable should have been the one to end Gunter's reign. Jimmy and Jey wasn't built well, and the match ended up being pretty bad. And things of that nature. You have little things you can nitpick here and there. But at the end of the day, the overall totality of Mania 40 and its build was great. But this Mania specifically, the build so far has been atrocious, and it looks like the PLE itself is likely going to be mid or horrendous. So there you have it. Let me know what you think about Mania 41 making absolutely no sense. And as always, I thank you guys so much for your support. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.